It is Monday night all over again, and welcome to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. I am your host, Darling Gray Banks, and tonight our special guest is Gary Mo Moore, author of Realizing the Answer, Developing the Dreams of Tomorrow Today. Gary, welcome to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. Nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation is brought to you by Eyeless Diamonds LLC, Lee's Press, a Dante production whose jazz series continues at Cinematique on August the 11th with Adam Kornecki, and the Fresh Book Festival is February 22 through 22, and registration is going to open up September 1st. So be ready. We're going to be sending out some videos to make sure people understand registration is going to open up in September. If you have any questions for Gary, please leave them in the chat room. And this conversation is being recorded. So thank you, Gary. Give us, our audience, just a brief background.
Good evening. My name is Gary D. Moore. As you said, I was born and raised in Hampton, Virginia. And I wrote this is the second edition of Realizing the Answer. I own my own company, Gary Moore Speaks, LLC, as well as Crossover Promotions. And my goal is to empower the next generation with knowledge, and with that, I wrote
my first. Crossover Promotion? What's that about?
Crossover Promotion is a special events company. I specialized in special events while I was doing sports management. And upon doing the special events, I got involved in doing celebrity events for athletes. I was representing athletes, and I just recently retired from being an agent. And in my representation of athletes, I felt it was very, very important for them to be involved in philanthropy and giving back to the communities and whatnot. So I set aside time and set up and did special events for them, and that's where Crossover Promotions came in.
I think the other thing that athletes should do, and we can talk about that later, is that they need someone to help them with social media to make sure that, I don't know if they could travel with someone just to make sure that they're on track. I don't know. It's a lot for those young guys to be involved in, that high sports arena and try to get it all at the same time.
So, I agree. I totally agree with you.
Yes. It really is. It's a lot. And if they don't come with their own entourage of people who are looking out for them, then, sometimes things slip through the cracks. So thank you for that, being on board with them and making sure that their events are done well. And they have to understand that to whom much is given, much is required, right?
Much is required, absolutely.
So in reading your book, in which I didn't know was an autobiography, I don't know what I thought it was. I thought it was about sports and but it was really a very interesting autobiography about you growing up and doing the things that you did to get to where you are now. How did your father influence you being in the sports industry?
That's a very good question, and I really appreciate you asking me that. My late father, he was someone that I always watched when I was a child. You mentioned his influence. His influence was first to me. That was the first person that I really gained influence from. And I watched him when I was much younger. He was coaching young people. However, he was teaching them how to live. He was teaching life skills through coaching football and baseball. And he influenced me in such a way. They started a sports, a youth sports coaching program, and it was called the Aberdeen Fathers Club. That really resonated with me because in today's society, we hear so much about the absentee fathers. These fathers there. They were there, and they were very, very, very um, they were very, very serious about making sure that the young people and then the young men, exactly, the young boys, grew up to be responsible young men, and they used the football field as their vehicle for doing so. And I was very, very impressed by that. He also coached baseball, so he was my mentor. He was not only my father, but he was my mentor, and he was one of the greatest influences that I had because he was first.
Absolutely first. And
Yeah,
we're going to segue into the baseball. We talked briefly the other day. When you decided to, because you played all the sports, is that correct? You played
I
all
played
the
I played football, baseball, and some basketball. I didn't
correct.
play as much basketball as I played football and baseball, but
When you decided to go into the baseball industry, did you have any difficulty? Because that's not, that hasn't been our road to success, really. And we have some, but there, we could have many, many more.
well, I think that in order for me to talk about my baseball and my experience in playing baseball, I have to go back to middle school.
Okay.
And it was in middle school that I was first introduced to integration. We met integration, and I also met racism
Hmm.
in a very big way. By the time I got to high school and playing baseball, I was really, really good. I actually tried out for two major league baseball teams. I actually thought that I would one day play major league baseball. I was just that good. But in high school, I was one of only three blacks who
Yeah,
played on our baseball team.
I bet.
Three. And whereas we were gifted, I actually could hit. And my dad always stressed to me the importance of never letting your behavior or anything get in the way of you being able to play or participate in any sport, especially then, because he used to always tell me that the deck was already stacked against you, you
Well,
know.
yeah.
But as gifted as we were, that was the only difficulty that I ran into, was the fact that not enough of us played.
Yeah. Well, at one point we had diamonds in the neighborhood where young people could go play, but then something happened called urban renewal, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, took the
Mm-hmm.
diamonds out of the neighborhood, and so that particular sport um, became not touchable. In other words, you couldn't walk down the street and go do it like you used to, right?
Right,
So,
right, absolutely.
and not having the ability to maybe go to a private club and play because that costs money, right? So
Yes, yes.
there are many reasons why we weren't encouraged to play baseball, but I think that's changing. Do you see a change in that at all?
I see a change. I see a change in it because they are now recognizing the the Negro leagues and just how gifted we were as
Mhm.
blacks. Still, there was the racism, and still today there's not as many blacks playing baseball as there should be. I would like to see more. I would like to see more young blacks get involved in these baseball programs because, unlike it was when I was coming up, the programs are there for them. We just don't have the participation that we need to have in there. But I think that more and more as time goes on, I think that more blacks will get more involved in baseball. Right now, it's dominated by the Dominicans and the people from Venezuela, but there's still people of color as well.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
but that's I would like to see more American-born blacks playing the sport of baseball and getting involved in some of the football
I
program.
didn't see the interview with Reggie, but I understand it was very poignant. Did you happen to see
Oh,
it? Was it?
I did not see it,
Okay.
but what stuck out was something that Reggie said. It wasn't in a full length interview. He actually came on the set of the game, and he was talking about how when the last time that he came to that field, it wasn't a good experience for him.
Mm.
And he saw some things and he didn't span upon it, but in the interview, I understood that he did. But I knew exactly what he was talking about. He was subjected to racial slurs and things of that nature. But he found it difficult to come back because he would remember those things and it would bring back the memories of those things. And it was a dark time for him.
Well, when you touch a stove and it burns you,
Yes, it will burn you.
you know what I'm
Yes, you
saying?
better know it. You better know
You
it.
try not to go
Yeah.
back and get burned again. I do understand that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
in your book, you also say something about knowing Allen Iverson personally. I'm jealous about that. I
What
was,
you jealous of?
I'm
You're a
just
DC
saying,
girl.
oh my goodness, I was in DC in his era, of course, and not front row seats, but close. I could see sweat, and
Uh-huh.
so it was a real good time to be in DC. Talk about that experience and your working personal and working relationship with Alan. Since first of all, he came in the game the hard way. You know what I'm saying? So for
Right.
him to be as humble and as yeah, he's a great young man. So go ahead, tell us about that experience.
I could not begin to talk about my experience with Alan without talking about my youth coaching experience because that's where we met. He was only 8 years old, and
Mm.
and I was, like I said, following in my father's footsteps, and I was coaching a youth football program, and I brought him into our program back when he was around 8, 9 years old, and he came from the Newport News area into our program, and we had Jermaine Marshall and Malcolm Holmes. We had a plethora of very good ball players, but Alan wanted to be a part of the program that we have, and they really accepted him with open arms. And these were just kids that were just looking for an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to play and to have fun. And it began there, but it surely didn't end there. And we continued on through high school. See, my leadership level tells me, Donna, that I see good in all people. And I believe that every person is capable of doing just about anything that they want to do in life. And that was motivation for me to want to help them and to nurture them. And whereas a lot of young kids, they have the talent, but they don't always have the vision that necessarily goes with that, you know. And I felt that I was appointed to give them that.
Mm.
I
Nice.
was appointed to give them that vision, and that's what I did. And I think that there were many young people whose lives that I touched, but his just went in a whole different direction. I had I had young people. For instance, I have a young lady who I still stay in touch with today, who was at every one of our youth football practices.
Mm.
And her name is Javanka. And Javanka turned out to be an extraordinary women's basketball coach at the high school and at the college level. However, the reasons that we became so close and the motivation, I think that motivation is a divine spirit that that everybody isn't gifted with that spirit to motivate. That was one of my pluses. That was something that God placed in me that I did better than most. And I would give that motivation to young people to make sure that they believed in the fact that they were capable of just about
Anything.
anything. And that's where it all started. That's where it came from. And Alan's life is just is a very, very, very good example of what it takes when you just stick to it and believe that no one is better, no one gets a better chance to beat you than you, and you can achieve anything that you want to achieve in life. And he's a great example and showed this world, and he continues to show in what
It
he's doing.
does. Absolutely. A great time to be in the DC, Baltimore, the DMV area during the reign of Mr. Allen Iverson. Talk about at one point did you decide you wanted to become an author? One, and was your manuscript just kind of sitting around in a drawer on a table? Were you just not motivated to put it together? Tell us when you made the pivot and the light bulb came on.
To be perfectly honest with you,
Okay.
part of my sacrifice in life was to put on hold the things that I felt that I wanted to achieve personally in athletics.
Because you had so many other people behind you that you could help.
Because I had young people that I wanted to help.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you put your hopes and your dreams on the back burner for others, it puts you in a very wonderful and loving place. Because you say, when did I decide that I wanted to be an author? I think that had I did everything that I wanted to do, I would probably be a singer, songwriter, entertainer, or performer. But because I put those things on the back burner, I lost out on that opportunity. But when I started my life journey, and the journey took me through the college ranks and through the confines of professional basketball, it allowed me the opportunity to see things that could change other people's lives. And it was at that time that I started putting this that manuscript that you're talking about. No, it wasn't laying around. It was always being written in my head. And I was thinking
laying
that
around in your
one
head.
day I would write about this. Yep. One day I would write about these experiences. One day, some of the things that I experienced can help to change other people's lives. And that's what I did. Eventually, when I got the opportunity, after spending more than 40 years in the empowering stage and in the professional ranks, I decided that the next thing that I would do, I would write. And this is just the first of many books that I will write, because I have a whole lot of stories to tell. There's a whole lot of empowering left to do. And there's so much that I believe that others can benefit from the experiences that I had in my life. And I want to share just as many of those that I possibly can to help somebody else.
So from thinking about it to fruition, I know you went through 2 editions. So what was
Yes.
that time frame from, okay, I'm going to do it, to the hiccup in the first publishing thing, to where we are now?
To be perfectly honest with you, it took me 5 years and 2 manuscripts to come up with Realizing the Answer, 2nd edition. That's why I told you in the email, you have to put 2nd edition on the end of that, because this is actually the second edition of Realizing the Answer. And it is 5 years of waiting and nurturing and adding to, because there was always more to add to the story, because remember, it's my life story, but it's
Right.
also a journey.
It's a journey.
And things continue to happen. And there were different aspects of it that had to come in. So when you read the book, oh man, I just hope that somebody would be inspired by some of the things that I experienced and some of the things that you read that I went with, and the help that I was able to gain. I learned just as much as some of the people that I was teaching as I was going along.
When you decided to, are you with a publishing house or did you self-publish?
I went with a publishing company. I paid a publisher to publish my book. And I would tell anybody, make sure that your money is well spent. Right. Make sure that the publishing company does what it is that you paid for. I think that I had this conversation with you the other night, and I really think that that's of mega importance when you publish. And I'm proud of my next book. I probably will consider self-publishing, because I know a whole lot more now than I did when I first started. But it wasn't a bad experience, but it was tedious. I had to stay on top of things. I had to make sure that those things that was in our contract that you adhered to, and you made sure that you did those things. And marketing is one of the most important parts of all of it.
Most important, right? Exactly.
Yeah. So it was a very fruitful experience. I enjoyed the experience. I'm going to enjoy this. I've already started on my next book.
Well, you told pretty much your life story in the first one.
Yes, yes.
It's going to be a part 2 of the life's journey, or about particular.
No, it's going to be. Mm-hmm. It's going to be. In it, I became a personal manager. That's a position that I created in professional sports, in sports marketing. And I think that every gifted athlete should have someone who knows something about them and knows more about them personally that can help them and that can be there with them through their journey. I think that's very, very important. Most of these young people are getting younger and younger, coming into the NFL and to the NBA nowadays, especially in professional basketball.
Right.
Because and there's so much life that has to come with that business of basketball, that I think that having a personal manager, someone to help you to understand the importance of time management and how to have what we consider a gatekeeper. This is one of the terms that I learned and that I taught in my role as personal manager. Someone to help the athlete to focus more on just playing the game, and letting someone else help them do the things that would take place.
Manage all the peripheral stuff,
Yes,
for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
so
I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna come back to that question, because we're gonna talk about the NIL later on in the conversation. But I want to get through the publishing end of it. So tell us about the book cover. Did you design the book cover? Did someone else design it? How did you develop it?
In my travels, I probably went to every professional basketball game that was played. And I always got as close to the action as I possibly could. And I met so many wonderful people throughout this journey. And one of those people was an NBA photographer named Garrett Elwood. Garrett Elwood would catch me doing so many different things while sitting courtside. And most of the time
You
I
were on
was
the phone.
doing my job. Most of the time I was at work and trying to look at the game at the same time.
Yeah.
Funny.
Doing business
He
on the
caught me
phone, looking at the game.
at the game on the phone, handling some business, you know. And he caught me. And it was a very, very nice
Photo.
capture of me doing what it was that I
But
do
I do. Yeah.
on a daily basis. And Mario Patterson, a young man from Hampton, Virginia, he actually came in and designed the cover for me after that. But yeah, that picture was taken by Garrett Elwood at a probably a 76er home basketball game.
And when you were writing, where did you do it? I see you have a home office. Do you do most of your writing in your home office? We have so many authors who do cafes and bookstores and parks, and I can't. I have to be in a steady place. But what is your procedure?
I do most of my writing in my office, in hotel suites, because I travel a lot. Um, and I do the majority of my writing between 2:30 a.m. and about 5. I think I'm most creative during those times when I should be asleep or when other people are asleep. That's when my creative juices are flowing, and that's when my memory bank is in there, and I can go in there and I can jot down. Remember, I said the manuscript is all in
Right.
my head because I was experiencing life all at the same time, and I was seeing things and doing things all at the same time, meeting extraordinary, wonderful people, and connecting with people. That's one of the keys. I met um, Larry Brown, Hall of Fame coach, on this journey. And I met Coach Brown, and not only did I meet Coach Brown, we connected.
Mm.
And that meant a lot to me because Coach Brown not only was a great and probably the greatest professional basketball coach that I know, he also felt it very, very important that he knew the personal side of AI, Allen Iverson. And that meant a lot to me because I always thought that people, if they could know the person
The story.
that I know outside of
Right.
the God-given talent that he had, they'd be even more fascinated with him. And I think that went a long way with Coach Brown and myself, because we connected on a level that we all could relate to, and that just meant a lot to me.
When you lost your nephew, I'm sorry that you did that at
Mm-hmm.
such an early age. Was that a pivotal moment for you to become a better mentor, more of a mentor? Um, what did that moment do for you? I know.
Yeah,
You
and
don't have
actually,
to answer that question. You don't have to answer that question.
I would love to answer that question,
Okay.
because when I lost Booney, it was at that time, it was at that point that I became dedicated
Mm-hmm.
to helping
And
young people, as many as I knew, to make better decisions in their life. And in order to do that, you have to be there with them. You have to have incredible listening skills. And that was one of the things that I learned and that I became dedicated to helping young people to make better decisions in life. And I tell you, it was so ironic because Booney was only 17 years old
yeah,
when I lost
no.
him.
Yeah.
Ironically, I lost my best friend at 17 years old, not 2 weeks after we had just graduated from high school. So to relive that pain all over again, that inspired me to want to do even more to make a difference in the lives of young people. And in order to do that, I had to be there with them. I had to care for them. I had to listen to them when they had no one else to listen to. And not that they would have no one else to listen to, but you have to be willing to listen to young people. If you listen to young people, you'll know a whole lot more about them, and it could help you to help them to do better and to be better in life and have a better experience in life.
When you're telling your own story, you're also telling stories of other people and how they enveloped your life. Was there anyone in the book that you had to have a discussion with before it was put out on the into the universe?
There were a lot of people, but
anyone in particular?
I think that my most interesting conversation and commitment came from the story that Javanka and I shared with one another. Javanka shared with me, because I always wondered, you know, Donna, if it was legal then, I would have suited her up and played her on my football team, on my youth league football team. But girls weren't allowed to play then. But she could very well have played because she knew all of the plays. She was there every single day for every practice. But when she shared with me
her story,
the reason, her story, why she was there, and she said, Coach Moore, you actually, I feel like you saved my life, because I was there because I didn't want to be home, because at home I would be subjected to being abused. And when she told me that she was there to escape the physical abuse that she was getting from a parent, from someone who was supposed to be a parent, that really, really, really reached me. And it was those stories, and that made her life, her story, even that much more fascinating and so much more worth telling, because I wanted people to understand that you don't have to be, and you don't have to fail because of what happens to you. You can use them to inspire, just like I use Booney's death I found the good in that, and the good in that was to be able to save another life and to help someone else to be better. And it's those type of stories that really, really, really resonated with me and meant a whole lot to me. So thank you so much for asking me that.
No problem. You've really actually answered the next question, where it says it is important to understand how failures in life can be essential on the road to success. And so you kind of just took care of that, but just give us a little bit more about how you came up with that and how important it is. It is important to understand how failures in life can be essential on the road to success. I thought that was a very poignant statement.
Yeah, and I look because, and thank you, because I look at failures as just another opportunity to learn.
Yeah, that's my favorite sentence. No, it means opportunity.
I don't think there's any success without failure. Honestly, I believe it. I know I've heard it before, and I know you've heard it before, but I don't think that there's any success without failure.
Right.
You know, And we have to learn to embrace learning and embrace every opportunity that we have to learn something. And I think that by doing that, I think that this world would be a much better place for all of us, and we get a better chance at life if we would just understand and understand the importance of learning. Living and learning go hand in hand.
Show us a copy of the book. I know that you have one right there, just so
Right
everybody
here?
can see. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is great. Yeah.
Yes, very nice cover. I like the blue in the background. I don't know, what does that say in the background, the lettering?
Realizing the answer.
No. Behind you, it's kind of faded.
Oh, you know
Yeah.
what? That that is a that says champion in the back,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it's just cut off back there. Yes. I'm
Okay.
gonna
Yeah.
get away. So yeah, you deep into that cover. Yes.
We
Yes.
look
You
at all
deep
that kind
into
of
it.
stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're definitely
Very.
a book person. But yeah, I love that book.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm a book person because I understand that what brings you to the book is the cover.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care
Mm-hmm.
what anybody says. If the cover
Yeah.
doesn't bring you to the book,
Yeah.
you just don't go. So it's very important. I tell the young authors and even the seasoned authors to make sure that your cover is captivating, because
Yeah.
that's the only thing you have. There's 10,000 books in a library, or not library, but a bookstore, and so you have to have something that people reach out for. So it's a very good cover.
Are you less likely to read a book because the cover isn't attractive enough for you?
Well, I'm less likely to pick it. Now, I will go 9 times out of 10. When I go into a bookstore, I have 5 books I'm going to buy anyway. You're right. Doesn't matter what the cover is, just because I'm in the industry and somebody said, Donna, please read this, or, help me with this.
Mhm.
So I'll go get it. But if I didn't know you and your book, then I'm walking in cold. And if it's in that era or in that genre that I'm looking at, then that would be something I would look at.
Right. Okay.
Right. So it kind of snatches off the cover.
Yes.
Um,
Thank you.
Now, Mama Tony, she has too many books. I don't know how she. We'll talk to her at the end of how she decides what book she's gonna buy. I don't know that she buys books anymore. I think people just send them to her, because she's a book reviewer. And so,
Okay.
anyway, so when you go into a bookstore, if you have an idea what books you're gonna buy, okay. But then you also come out with 2 you're not gonna buy because it drew
Yeah.
you from where you were. Let's talk about NIL. I have a nephew who is doing very well at Duke University, and he is there during a time when NIL is new, right? Anybody who
Yes.
doesn't know what that is name, image, and likeness. Now, before, I guess, the last year, college students could not be paid for their NIL. But right now they're understanding that these young people come to college with families. They come to college with necessary time where they have to send money back home. I mean, there's all kinds of things that they come to college with. And the light bulb came on. Of course, they're making money too about it. But tell us
Right.
about how you feel about NIL and the fact that they're trying to now do it in high school.
You may not like my answer
That's it. I'm leaving it. It's
because
okay. It's
because
okay.
let me say this to you. In college, I think that I think that they could do a much better job than what they're doing with the NIL.
Mm.
I think, and what I mean by that is I hear so much about, I think that NIL should be more universal in its presentation. I think that more than just the star player on a
Mm.
team should be able to benefit from the name, image, and likeness piece. Um, because see, if you don't do it that way, if you don't figure out a way to
To be
benefit
inclusive.
the team, to be inclusive and to benefit the
There's
team,
there's there's no I in team.
you can
Yeah.
create dissension.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
I I don't think there's no way that I would ever accept it in high school. I just don't believe that it is something that's good for a high school student to get. Now, would I change my mind if things got better? Yes, I would like them to get better first. Because at the high school level, just think about that kid or that team or that program who don't have the social media um, marketability, that don't have the companies who are willing to put into that particular company's pot to pay those particular students. And students is what they are.
That's
I
what.
think
Yeah.
that professional athletes should be paid for their services. I think college programs should benefit from the college programs that are in high attendance and that the schools are making miles and hundreds
Millions.
of thousands and millions
Millions of
of
dollars.
dollars.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the
Yeah.
coaches. So I'm totally in agreement with that. But I think that it should be more inclusive. I think more people should be able to benefit from the profits and I mean not the profits, but the the spending of the
Right.
monies amongst the college and the student athletes there. But I don't
Just
think that
the
there's any place.
distribution of money. I kind of agree
Yeah,
with you. If my
yeah,
nephew was on the front with his number and then the whole team was on the back. Now, say they get 3 or 4 or 5% of whatever that jersey comes up and he gets the what however the division is, but that makes sure that everybody gets a little piece of the pie. Yeah.
right,
I
right,
like
right,
that
right,
idea. I like that idea.
right.
And I do
Absolutely.
think that young people in high school, yeah, not quite, not yet. College, I
Right,
agree with, just because a lot of students come with a lot more than just the ability to play or the ability to be a student. Sometimes they come with families, and so that makes a difference. So anyway, thank you for your point of view on that. For young people, you state that you should take your athletic ability and your dreams to places that give you the best chance to succeed. You want to expound on that for me?
as I absolutely would. I absolutely would. I think that in making a decision on where you're gonna go to school to play sports, I think that there need to be a clear understanding that as a student athlete, there should be more benefit for the student himself and his overall growth and development than to just support a college program. I think that more emphasis should be placed on the personal development of a young person
Mm.
than just doing what's best for the team. And if you're a player and you have the ability to score, and what I mean by that, and the ability, everybody, of course, has the ability to score, but
Right.
everybody have the ability to score 20, 30 points a ball game because you have to be able to shoot the ball that many times in order to come up with those numbers. So that takes a heck of a lot of effort to do that as well. But if you coming in as a prolific scorer and you're not going to play unless you can play defense, then that needs to be perfectly understood. If you're going to a defensive school or if you're going to college to play basketball at a school that's dominated by football, that's not in your
Right.
best interest to go.
Right.
And that's what I mean. I think that you should go somewhere where it's best suited for your ability and your ability to play as well as to get a quality education that's going to help you later in life. Only a very small percentage of college athletes are going to play at the professional level. But there are so many other
I think it's less
jobs.
than 5%.
Yes, absolutely. Much less than that. But there's so many other professions that you can go into outside of playing professional sports that you can make a very good living at doing.
And that's it. I was speaking to a gentleman who does movies, and I said to him today, I said, you know, what people don't understand is that it's great to be in front of the camera, but you can make a whole lot of money behind the camera. So they have to understand that a star is a star, but the star is no good if the boom mic is in the wrong place.
Right, right, right. You're right about that.
You know, if your location is not right, you have location people, you have camera people, you have boom people, and in sports you have sports medicine, you have consultation, you have they need a lawyer, they need an entertainment lawyer. I mean, there's so many things that focus around an athlete that makes him, you know, one step better than another if he's got people beside him to take care of those things. Yeah, it's important. So
very important.
Could you just, if you would like to tell us a little bit more about the book, or I don't want you to give it away because of course we want people to buy it, but were there some things that I did not maybe touch that you want to talk about before we leave?
Donna, I just hope that by sharing my journey, I just hope that my book can serve as sort of a bridge that can connect me with the reader and to inspire someone to navigate their own path in life. And they navigate that path with extreme confidence and purpose and the ability to help somebody else other than themselves. And I really believe that if we can take it upon ourselves to general manage our lives, to know when it's time to have a personal manager in your life, not just for an athlete or an entertainer or a lawyer or a developer, but just to navigate yourself and to become your own manager of your life and know when it's time to sit down, know when it's time to relax, know when it's time to call in a gatekeeper to help you to be better at what it is that you specialize in. I think that I would be better served. I think I would love and love people reading my book, because my journey, if my journey can inspire just one person to navigate their path and do the best that they can with their own life, I think that it's all worth it for me.
I think it's Mr. Bolt who said he spent 5 years of his life for 3 minutes.
That's just a lot.
You know, yeah, it took him
That's
5
a mouthful.
yeah, you know, 5 years of managing, getting, you know, deals and being an athlete and training. 5 years for 3 minutes. And that's what I think that a lot of our, I don't want to call them microwave. Let's call them the microwave people.
What you mean microwave? What do you mean by that when you say microwave?
I'm saying that they don't understand that sometimes it takes 5 years. Sometimes it takes 4 years. Sometimes it takes 10 years. You know, most authors did not make the New York Times bestseller list till they were after 50. Right. So it's the time element, it's the managerial element. It's about learning your craft, not only from the inside, but the outside.
Yes. Yes.
So that you can see a future in it. Mama Tony, do you have any questions for Gary before I know you're a sports fan. She loves football. I don't know if she's still with
No, I don't have any questions, but I just want to download this book. So
very good. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
She's the best reviewer.
And I do want to let people know where they can get the book. They can get the book
please.
on Amazon.com. They can also get the book on my website, GaryDMoore.com.
Okay, you froze, so give me another. Give it to us again.
www.GaryDMoore.com, as well as Amazon and ArchwayPublishing.com. Yes.
And we ask everybody to leave us with a pearl of wisdom. So I'll take that from you right now.
My pearl of wisdom, I honestly believe that my pearl of wisdom would be to the true sign of a superstar is not measured by how that person compares to others, but more so for you, the person, no matter who you are, to realize what you're capable of. And that's just
to your level. Yeah.
Rise to your level.
Rise to your level.
Everything. Absolutely.
Thank you, Gary. And when the lights go out and the cell phone towers go down, all you have left is a flashlight and a good book. So thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Good night, Mama Tony.
Good night.
Good night.